My best friend got married this past weekend. I should say one of my best friends. Shout out to you, sir. Congratulations. Well done. You've joined an exclusive club. I have talked several times about one of my friends. There are two gentlemen in my life who I would consider on the top tier of who I consider friends. These two gentlemen would be, if I had to pick who a best friend of mine would be, there are two gentlemen that I would put in that category. And I don't really have a level per se, but there's two gentlemen I'd put in that category. I've already talked about one of those guys who I'm very good friends with. And now I'm going to tell you a story about the other one. Now, in many respects, these two particular gentlemen are complete opposites, but in a few key areas they are very much the same. And one of those areas is that one of the reasons we have become such good friends is the circumstances that surround, how our friendship grew. So, as you know, a couple of years ago, the main reason I even have this channel to begin with is because as you know, a couple of years ago, I got hurt. I sustained a injury, and I was facing the prospect of having to have surgery to repair this injury, and it was a situation I'd never been in before, and it really did a lot of damage to me, both physically as well as mentally and psychologically. And I'm not going to go into a lot of that right now. I don't want to ruminate on that because that's the past. It's over. But just as a footnote, it really did a lot to me. And in those couple of weeks after receiving the information and knowing, kind of understanding, processing what was going on, I was facing the prospect of not being able to work for a little while, and facing the prospect of, when I was working, there were certain times and certain jobs I was just going to need help on. There was no way to put it, no other way to put it. I was not going to be able to perform all of the duties of the job 100%. And I reached out to a number of people that I knew in the industry, in the lawn care industry, who mowed grass, and who, even family members who in the past I had reached out for and who had helped me. And no one was available. So I wouldn't say it was desperation. Well, maybe it was desperation at the time. I'll take that back. Maybe it was a little bit desperation. But in my desperation, I thought, I will talk to this other gentleman who I am kind of, I'm sort of friends with this guy. I'm acquaintances with this guy. I had known this guy at the time for probably about 10 years or so, 10 or 12 years, kind of off and on. But I wouldn't say at that time we were necessarily close friends. We were just more or less acquaintances. We knew who we were. I maybe chatted with this guy once a year or something like that, if that. And he was affiliated in the industry, but not the same part as I am. So he's not, a maintenance guy, a grass cutting guy. So I made the call. I reached out, hey, let him know what was going on, and basically it was a plea for help. It was an ask for, hey, I've got, it's not like I'm asking for free help. I'm going to pay you this and that, but I basically need to hire someone. And, I'm calling you because, frankly, no one else has come through. I'm not saying I'm on my last ticket here necessarily, but I don't know who else to summon at this point. Well, unbeknownst to me at the time, this gentleman was also going through a trial of his own, a struggle, so to speak, a personal struggle, so to speak, of his own. So he had time Whereas before, if this had happened like a year or two before, there would have been absolutely no time. The situation would not have worked out the way it did. So this gentleman basically dropped everything he was doing for about 2 or 3 months and helped me out, 2 or 3 days out of it every week until from the time I got my diagnosis through the time I got surgery, and then after my surgery, when I was getting back to slowly being able to work and do the work slowly back to it. He was there for me to help me out and, do a lot of the heavy physical work that I wasn't able to do. He was there. He stepped in and was able to kind of, grab those reins in a sense and, get things done that I needed done. And it's no short, how do I say this? It's no exaggeration to say this gentleman saved my business, essentially. I do not know if I would be in business today if it were not for this gentleman who, stepped in and had my back in one of my darkest hours. In one of my darkest hours, one of my worst times of my life, this person stepped in and was my friend, was my, work colleague, was my, worker for a little while, and just helped me to get my business going again, helped me to get the season wrapped up and the leaves wrapped up, the leaf cleanups done, and helped me basically get the season done so that I could focus on my recovery in the off season and get ready for the next season. And it's such an invaluable thing to have a friend like this. I hope, if you encounter people in your life that you become friends with and you have a situation where you need somebody to have your back, I hope you have a person like this in your life who can come in and just, no matter the circumstances, they've got your back. They can be there for you, and in turn, by the same token, you are there for them as well. This goes both ways here. It's no small thing to say. I am there for you. I have your back. No questions asked. But this is the kind of relationship that we have now. Exactly like very very similar to like my the other friend of mine. This person is just someone you can depend on in your life. That kind of thing is extremely rare to come across. A lot of people in life are looking to take advantage of you, or a lot of people, it's just convenient at the time. You're not necessarily important to them, or they need something from you, and so they're going to try to exploit you to get it. But that's not the way this is. That's not the way this was. This developed into something that, this developed into something that to this day, looking back on it now and reflecting, thinking, wow, even though this was a very bad time of my life, one of the worst times of my life, as a result of it, I found a friend. I found a very good friend to be in my life. Somebody who I could, consider like a business colleague, and somebody who knows the business and knows you can bounce ideas off of and things like that, but also genuinely somebody you can call a friend and a brother, and somebody who you can share, your life with, and share, details about your life, that you wouldn't just tell some random stranger, or even a client or somebody else you would consider an acquaintance. You wouldn't necessarily want to share things with those people. But this type of person is in that category, is in that class of person. So anyway, yeah, that's I didn't want to go too long into detail on this. I think it's kind of like the same as the other story I did a few years ago, but it's it's worth sharing. It is absolutely worth sharing. Friends, it cannot be understated. It cannot be overstated how important friendship is. And when you find friends in your life who are people who are truly your friend for you and aren't just there, because they're trying to get something from you, or because, they want to exploit you. I've had people like that in my life many times who I thought were my friends, and they ended up not being my friend ultimately in the long run. And when this type of person comes along who really is your friend, you have something special and you have something important. And that's what the point of this story is. I know I speak about circles being small, and I do believe that. Keep your circle small, but as well as keeping it small, keep it tight and keep it grounded, keep it strong. That's the point of this. Good friends, strong friends. Keep it up.